High above the valleys of the Swiss Alps, winter is slowly releasing its hold. The snow that covered the mountains for months begins to melt beneath the strengthening spring sun. Tiny streams emerge from beneath the ice. Water trickles through stone and moss. The frozen landscape awakens. At first, the changes are almost impossible to notice. A patch of grass appears beside a retreating snowbank. A boot opens on a branch. A single flower blooms in a meadow that only weeks ago lay buried beneath snow. Spring has returned to the Alps, and with it begins one of the most important journeys in nature. The journey of a seed. Across these mountains, every plant faces the same challenge. Unlike animals, plants cannot walk, they cannot migrate, they cannot search for new places to live. Yet generation after generation, they continue to spread across valleys, forests, riverbanks, and mountain slopes. Their solution is both simple and extraordinary. They create seeds. Tiny living packages carrying everything needed for a new beginning. Inside every seed lies a remarkable story, a story of survival, a story of adaptation, and a story that connects every part of the alpine ecosystem. As spring sunlight warms the meadows, wildflowers begin to emerge. Crocuses push through the soil, primroses open their bright blossoms, anemones sway gently in the mountain breeze. For a brief moment, the landscape becomes a sea of color. To human eyes, flowers are symbols of beauty, but in nature, beauty often serves a purpose. Flowers are not the destination. They are the beginning. Each blossom is a temporary structure designed for one goal, to create the next generation. The colors attract pollinators. The scents guide insects through the meadow. Every petal, every drop of nectar, every grain of pollen plays a role in a process that has been refined over millions of years. Bees move from flower to flower. Butterflies drift across the valley. Hoverflies visit blossoms beneath the spring sun. With each visit, pollen is transferred and slowly, almost invisibly, the future begins to form. The petals that seemed so important start to fade. Their work is complete. One by one, they fall. What remains is something far more valuable, the first seeds of the year. Tiny and often overlooked, these seeds contain the genetic memory of entire species. They carry information passed down through countless generations. Instructions for roots, instructions for leaves, instructions for flowers not yet born. Inside these small structures lies the potential for future meadows, future forests, and future ecosystems. Yet producing seeds is only half the challenge. A seed that falls directly beneath its parent plant faces many obstacles. Competition for sunlight, competition for water, competition for nutrients to survive. Many seeds must travel. They must find new places where they can grow. And so begins one of the greatest movements in nature, the silent migration of plants. Among the first travelers of spring is a familiar species, the dandelion. At first glance, a dandelion appears ordinary, a bright yellow flower among countless others. But after flowering, a remarkable transformation begins. The yellow petals disappear. In their place emerges a delicate white sphere, hundreds of tiny seeds arranged with perfect precision, each attached to a feathery structure known as a pappus. Together they create one of nature's most successful flying machines. The design is astonishingly efficient. The lightweight parachute increases air resistance. It slows the seed's descent. It allows even the gentlest breeze to lift it into the air. A calm meadow may appear still, yet invisible currents constantly move through the landscape. The moment conditions are right, the seeds depart, one after another, dozens, hundreds, sometimes thousands, each beginning a separate journey. Some travel only a few meters, others may travel hundreds of meters. A fortunate few may travel much farther. For a seed, distance creates opportunity. Every meter away from the parent plant reduces competition. Every new location offers a chance for success. Most seeds will never become mature plants. Many will land on bare rock. Others will fall into streams. Some will be eaten. Many will simply fail to germinate. But nature does not rely on certainty. Nature relies on possibility. Out of hundreds of seeds, only a few need to survive. Those few are enough to continue the cycle. Across the Alps, countless species follow similar strategies. Not all seeds are carried by wind. Not all seeds travel far, but every species has evolved a solution to the challenge of dispersal. The spring meadows become launching grounds for millions of future plants. Beneath the grasses, roots expand through warming soil. Above the ground, flowers continue their brief but important work. Pollinators move endlessly between blossoms. Each interaction contributes to the next stage of life. Nothing exists in isolation. The flower depends on the insect depends on the flower, the seed depends on the future journey that lies ahead. As the season advances, the landscape becomes increasingly connected. Streams carry water from melting snow, birds move between forests and meadows, animals emerge from winter shelters. Every living thing participates in a network far larger than itself. And at the center of that network are countless seeds, waiting, preparing, ready for departure. Some are hidden beneath flower heads, others are developing within fruits. Many remain invisible to all but the closest observer. Yet their influence will shape the future of the valley. The forests that will grow decades from now begin with seeds forming today. The flowers of future springs begin with seeds produced this season. The landscapes of tomorrow are being created in this very moment. As sunlight stretches across the Alpine meadows, another day of spring comes to an end. The mountains cast long shadows across the valley floor. The wind softens, the flowers close, the pollinators return to their shelters. But the work of the season continues. Seeds continue to mature, plants continue to prepare for the journeys ahead. And across the Swiss Alps, millions of tiny travelers wait patiently for their moment. A moment when the wind will rise, a moment when the journey will begin, a moment when the future of an entire ecosystem will take flight. And so, with the arrival of spring, the season of seeds begins. As spring deepens across the Alps, the valleys become increasingly alive with movement. Snow continues to retreat toward the highest peaks. Wildflowers spread across the meadows. Forests awaken beneath longer days and warmer temperatures. And above it all, something invisible begins to shape the future of the landscape. The wind. We cannot see it, we cannot hold it. Yet for millions of plants, wind is one of the most powerful forces on Earth. Long before birds carried seeds, long before mammals transported fruits, long before humans altered the landscape, the wind was already moving life across the planet. For hundreds of millions of years, plants have adapted to this ancient traveler. Unlike animals, the wind asks for nothing. It does not choose where to go. It does not decide which seeds to carry. It simply moves through mountains, valleys, forests, and grasslands. Plants have learned to take advantage of that movement. Across the Alpine meadows, countless seeds are preparing for flight. Some are so light that they weigh almost nothing. Others possess structures that seem impossibly delicate. Tiny hairs, silken threads, feathery crowns, paper-thin wings. Each adaptation serves a single purpose: to remain airborne for as long as possible. For a seed, every second in the air increases opportunity. Every additional liter traveled reduces competition with its parent plant. Every new destination offers the possibility of survival. In the open meadows of the Alps, wind currents behave in complex ways. Warm air rises from sunlit slopes. Cool air descends from snow-covered peaks. Mountain ridges redirect airflow. Valleys channel invisible rivers of moving air to human observers. These currents remain hidden, yet for a flying seed they form an entire world, a world of pathways and possibilities. On a sunny afternoon, thousands of seeds may be lifted simultaneously from a single meadow. Most journeys are short, a few meters, perhaps a few dozen, but some seeds encounter rising air. They climb higher, the landscape below becomes increasingly distant. Fields merge into forests. Forests merge into mountains. What began as a simple gust becomes a voyage across an entire valley. Many alpine plants depend entirely on these journeys. Without wind, they could never reach new habitats. Without dispersal, entire populations would remain trapped in one place. Over time, competition would intensify, diversity would decline, the future of the species would become uncertain. Wind provides escape. Wind provides connection. Wind provides possibility. Among the most elegant examples of wind dispersal are the seeds of alpine grasses. At first glance, these grasses appear ordinary. Yet each flowering stalk produces countless seeds equipped for movement. As the stems sway in the breeze, mature seeds are gradually released. Some fall immediately. Others remain suspended in the air. Together, they spread across the landscape, helping create the vast meadows that characterize the Alps. These grasslands support countless other forms of life, insects, birds, mammals, and even the soil beneath them. A simple seed carried by wind can influence an entire ecosystem. Some plants employ even more sophisticated designs. Over millions of years, natural selection has transformed seeds into remarkable flying structures. Nature has produced gliders, parachutes, spinners and drifters, each adapted to a specific challenge, each shaped by the demands of its environment. One of the most extraordinary examples can be found in the forests themselves, the maple tree. Throughout the growing season, maple trees capture sunlight and store energy. When the time comes to reproduce, they produce a unique kind of seed, a seed attached to a wing. These structures are known as samaras. When released, they do not simply fall, they spin. As air flows over the wing, lift is generated. The spinning motion slows descent. The seed remains airborne longer. And while it rotates, it drifts farther from the parent tree. To many people, maple seeds resemble tiny helicopters. The comparison is remarkably accurate. Scientists and engineers have spent decades studying the aerodynamics of these natural designs, yet the forests perfected them millions of years before humans ever dreamed of flight. Each spinning seed represents a solution to a fundamental problem. How can a plant move without moving? The answer is elegant. Allow the wind to do the work as spring transitions toward early summer. The skies above the Alps become filled with invisible journeys. Every meadow contributes travelers. Every forest releases passengers. Millions of seeds move through the atmosphere. Most will never be noticed, yet their impact is enormous. A seed arriving in a newly exposed patch of soil may establish an entirely new population. A seed reaching a disturbed area may begin ecological recovery. A seed landing beyond the current range of its species may help that species adapt to changing environmental conditions. The future distribution of plants depends upon these journeys. But flight remains risky. The air offers opportunity. It also offers uncertainty. Strong winds may carry seeds into unsuitable habitats. Storms may drive them onto rocky slopes. Many will land where survival is impossible. Yet evolution does not seek perfection. It seeks success over time. Even if only a small fraction of seeds survive, the strategy works. The landscape itself becomes evidence. Every forest edge, every flower-filled meadow, every isolated plant growing far from its relatives, all are reminders of successful dispersal. Across the Alps, wind continues its endless work. It crosses glaciers, sweeps through pine forests, flows over rivers and lakes, climbs rocky ridges, descends into sheltered valleys, and everywhere it goes, it carries life. The movement never truly stops. Even during calm weather, subtle currents continue to flow. The atmosphere remains in motion, and so do the seeds. Some journeys last seconds, others last minutes. A few continue much longer. For the seed, however, the destination matters more than the distance. A suitable patch of soil, adequate sunlight, enough moisture. These simple requirements determine the difference between failure and success, between disappearance and renewal. As evening approaches, the winds gradually soften. The meadows grow quiet. Flying insects settle among the flowers. Shadows stretch across the valley floor. One by one, airborne seeds return to the earth. Their flights come to an end. Some disappear among grasses, some settle beside streams, others come to rest in forest clearings. The journeys may seem small, yet collectively they shape entire landscapes. The forests of the future, the meadows of future generations, the flowers that will bloom years from now. Many begin here, with a single seed, a single gust of wind, and a silent journey through the air. Across the Alps, countless travelers continue their flights, invisible architects of the future, carried by the oldest seed carrier on Earth, the wind. High in the Alps, nearly every journey begins with water. Long before rivers reach the valleys below, snowmelt trickles from beneath ice and stone. Tiny droplets gather into streams. Streams merge into creeks. Creeks become rivers, and these flowing waters connect nearly every corner of the landscape. For animals, water provides life. For plants, water provides something more. A pathway, a transportation network stretching across mountains, forests, meadows, and wetlands. While the wind carries seeds through the air, water carries them across the land. The journey is slower, less predictable, but often just as important. Throughout the Alps, many plants have evolved to take advantage of moving water. Their seeds are designed to float. Some contain air-filled tissues. Others are protected by waterproof outer layers. A few can survive weeks or even months in flowing water. These adaptations allow seeds to travel far beyond the reach of their parent plants. As spring advances, streams fed by melting snow become increasingly powerful. Water rushes over rocks, polished by centuries of flow. It slips beneath fallen branches. It winds through forests and open meadows. Along its journey, it gathers countless passengers, leaves, twigs, organic debris, and seeds. Many begin their travels accidentally. A mature seed falls from a plant growing beside a stream. A sudden rainstorm washes it into the current. Within moments, it is moving downstream. For the seed, everything changes. The landscape begins to move. Rocks pass beneath. Moss-covered banks slide by. Sunlight flickers through overhanging branches. The journey has begun. Unlike wind dispersal, water dispersal often follows specific routes. Streams guide movement through valleys. Rivers connect distant habitats. Wetlands create temporary resting places. Together, these waterways form natural corridors of dispersal. A seed entering one part of the system may eventually reach another entirely different environment. This movement helps plants colonize new areas. It increases genetic exchange between populations, and it strengthens the resilience of entire ecosystems. The banks of alpine streams are constantly changing. Spring floods reshape the landscape each year. Sediment is carried downstream, new patches of soil appear, old banks erode away. Gravel bars emerge where none existed before. These dynamic environments create opportunities for seeds. Freshly deposited sediment often contains abundant nutrients. Competition is low. Sunlight is plentiful. For a young plant, such conditions can be ideal. Many species depend on these disturbances. Without flooding, suitable habitat would become scarce. Without movement, renewal would slow. The river is not merely carrying seeds, it is creating places where those seeds can survive. Along the edges of streams, entire communities of plants are adapted to this river. Willows are among the most successful. Each spring they release enormous numbers of tiny seeds. These seeds remain viable for only a short time. They must land quickly on moist soil. Flowing water helps make that possible. When conditions align, thousands of young willow seedlings may appear along a newly formed riverbank. Within a few years, they help stabilize the soil. Their roots reduce erosion. Their branches provide shelter. Their leaves support insects and other wildlife. What began as a single floating seed can eventually transform an entire section of habitat. Further downstream, water slopes, fast-moving currents become gentle flows. Streams widen, small ponds form, wetlands emerge in low-lying areas. These quieter environments act as natural collection points. Seeds drifting through the watershed often settle here. Mud traps them. Aquatic vegetation catches them. Weeds and grasses slow their movement. Gradually, the travelers come to rest. But arrival does not guarantee success. Many seeds remain dormant. They wait days, weeks, sometimes months until conditions become favorable. Temperature, moisture, light. Each species responds to different signals. Patience is often part of survival. Beneath the surface of the mud, life waits quietly. The wetlands of the Alps contain hidden reservoirs of potential. Thousands of seeds lie buried beneath the soil. Some were deposited recently. Others may have remained dormant for years. When conditions change, they awaken. A drought may expose bare ground. A flood may deposit fresh sediment. A fallen tree may allow sunlight to reach the surface. Suddenly, opportunities appear, and dormant seeds respond. The landscape begins to change. Across the Alps, lakes and ponds serve a similar role. They collect water from surrounding slopes. They gather nutrients. They receive seeds from countless sources. Some arrive through streams. Others arrive attached to animals. A few are carried directly by wind before settling on the water. Together, they create diverse communities around the shoreline. Weeds emerge. Wildflowers establish themselves. Shrubs take root. The boundaries of the ecosystem slowly expand. Every successful plant becomes a future source of seeds. The cycle continues. Not all water journeys are gentle. Storms can dramatically increase the power of alpine rivers. Heavy rain transforms quiet streams into torrents. Floodwaters surge across floodplains. Entire sections of riverbank may disappear overnight. To many observers, such events appear destructive, yet they are also agents of renewal. Floods transport seeds over great distances. They create fresh habitat, they remove dense vegetation and open space for new growth. Many river ecosystems depend on these periodic disturbances. Without change, diversity declines. Without movement, opportunities disappear. Nature often builds through disruption. As summer approaches, vegetation becomes increasingly established along the waterways. Young seedlings anchor themselves in newly formed soil. Roots spread deeper into the earth. Leaves reach toward the sunlight. What began as drifting passengers become permanent residents. The success of these plants influences countless other species. Insects visit their flowers. Birds nest among their branches. Mammals seek shelter beneath their cover. The effects ripple throughout the ecosystem. One seed becomes many. One plant becomes habitat. One journey becomes part of a much larger story. And still the water flows, day and night. Season after season, year after year, the rivers never stop moving. Neither does the life they carry. From the highest peaks to the lowest valleys, water connects distant landscapes into a single living network. Seeds move through that network continuously. Some succeed, many fail, but collectively they shape the future of the Alps. As evening settles across the mountains, the rivers continue their quiet work. The surface reflects the colors of the fading sky. Shadows lengthen along the banks. The currents slow as the day grows calm. Yet beneath the surface, journeys continue. Seeds drift silently through the water. Travelers searching for opportunity. Travelers searching for a place to begin. Some will settle tomorrow, others next week. A few may continue much farther, but wherever they come to rest, they carry the same promise. The possibility of new life, the possibility of renewal, the possibility of transforming an empty patch of soil into a living part of the alpine landscape for countless generations. Water has carried that promise across the mountains, and tonight, as it has for thousands of years, the journey continues. Months, and sometimes even years, seeds have traveled across the Alps. Some were carried by the wind, others drifted downstream in rivers and mountain streams. Many arrived with the help of birds, mammals, or insects. Now their journeys are over. The travelers have reached their destinations, yet another challenge remains. A seed must know when to begin if it awakens too early. Frost may destroy the young seedling. If it waits too long, the growing season may pass. Survival depends on timing, and throughout the Alps, seeds have evolved remarkable ways of measuring the world around them. Beneath the soil, life waits quietly. The ground may appear still, but hidden beneath grasses, wildflowers, and fallen leaves, countless seeds lie dormant. Each contains a living embryo. A tiny plant suspended in time, protected by a durable outer coat, waiting for the right conditions. Dormancy is one of nature's greatest inventions. It allows seeds to survive harsh winters, droughts, floods, even years of unfavorable conditions. Rather than growing immediately, they wait, patiently, silently, until opportunity arrives, as winter loosens its grip on the mountains. Temperatures begin to rise. Snow melt seeps into the soil. The earth becomes moist. Sunlight grows stronger with each passing day. For many seeds, these are the signals they have been waiting for. The long sleep is ending. Deep beneath the surface, invisible changes begin. Water enters the seed coat. Cells absorb moisture. Metabolism slowly resumes. Stored energy accumulated during seed formation is released. The embryo awakens. A process that may appear simple is in reality extraordinarily complex. Within a tiny seed, thousands of biological reactions begin simultaneously. Proteins are activated. Growth hormones are produced. Dormant tissues come alive. The future plant begins to build itself. The first structure to emerge is not a leaf, it is a root. This first root grows downward into the soil, anchoring the young plant, searching for water and nutrients. Before reaching for sunlight, the seedling must establish a foundation. Only then can it begin to grow upward, across the Alps. Millions of roots are entering the soil at this very moment. Tiny threads of life spreading through the earth. Some encounter rich organic matter. Others find cracks between stones. Each follows its own path. Each contributes to the future of the ecosystem. Soon after the root appears, the shoot emerges. Slowly it pushes upward, through soil, through fallen leaves, through layers of moss and organic debris. The journey may only be a few centimeters, but for a seedling, it is the most important journey of all. Finally, the shoot reaches the surface. For the first time, sunlight touches its leaves. Photosynthesis begins. The young plant starts producing its own energy. The transition is complete. The seed has become a seedling. The next generation has begun, yet success remains uncertain. The Alps are beautiful, but they are not gentle. Young seedlings face countless dangers. Late frosts may return without warning. Heavy rain can wash away fragile roots. Strong winds may damage delicate stems. Animals may graze on tender leaves. Competition from neighboring plants can limit access to sunlight. The vast majority of seedlings will not survive to adulthood. Nature invests in abundance because survival is never guaranteed. A single mature plant may produce hundreds, thousands, or even millions of seeds. Only a few need to succeed. Those few are enough to continue the cycle. Across alpine meadows, waves of new growth spread through the landscape. Wildflowers emerge among grasses. Tiny herbs appear beside rocks. Young shrubs establish themselves along stream banks. Each species follows its own strategy. Each responds to different environmental cues. Together they create the extraordinary diversity that characterizes alpine ecosystems. Some seeds require light before germinating. Others require darkness. Some respond to fluctuating temperatures. Others depend on chemical signals within the soil. Certain species germinate only after passing through the digestive systems of animals. Others wait for disturbances such as floods, landslides, or fires. Every strategy represents an adaptation to specific environmental challenges. Every adaptation increases
In
the
the heart
chance
of the
survival.
Swiss Alps,
The soil itself
life
plays a
reclaims
vital
the
role in
banks of this
process.
glacial
Far
stream.
beneath the surface, a hidden community supports new growth. Bacteria, fungi, microscopic organisms, earthworms, countless forms of life interact continuously beneath our feet. Many seedlings establish partnerships with fungi shortly after germination. These fungal networks extend through the soil. They help plants absorb water and nutrients in return. The fungi receive energy produced through photosynthesis. The relationship benefits both partners. No seed grows entirely alone. Life in the Alps depends on connection. As spring advances towards summer, seedlings become increasingly visible. The landscape begins to change. Bare soil disappears beneath green growth. Stream banks become lined with young vegetation. Forest clearings fill with new plants. The transformation can be astonishingly rapid. Only weeks earlier, many of these places appeared lifeless. Now they are filled with growth, filled with possibility. Each successful seedling represents the continuation of a lineage stretching back thousands of generations. Every leaf is part of a story much older than the mountains themselves. A story of persistence, adaptation, and renewal. Some seedlings will remain small for years, others will grow rapidly. Wildflowers may complete their entire life cycle within a single season. Shrubs may require many years to mature. Trees may take decades, yet all begin in the same way, as seeds, as travelers, as tiny packages of potential waiting for the right moment. The awakening of seeds does more than create individual plants. It shapes entire landscapes. New vegetation stabilizes soil. Roots reduce erosion. Leaves provide food for insects. Flowers support pollinators. Shelter becomes available for birds and mammals. One successful seed can influence countless other forms of life. The effects spread outward through the ecosystem. A seedling becomes a plant becomes habitat. Habitat supports communities, and communities create resilience. Throughout the Alps, this process unfolds continuously, quietly, patiently, without fanfare. Most people never notice it, yet it is one of the most important events in nature, because every forest begins with germination. Every meadow begins with germination. Every future ecosystem begins with a seed deciding that the time is right. As evening settles over the valleys, young seedlings stand beneath the fading light. Their roots continue to grow. Their leaves continue gathering energy. Their futures remain uncertain. Many challenges still lie ahead, but they have already overcome the greatest obstacle. They have begun. After journeys through wind and water, after months of waiting beneath the soil, after surviving winter and uncertainty, they have awakened, and across the Alps, millions of new lives now rise toward the sky, preparing for the next chapter in the story of the mountains, a story that will eventually transform seedlings into forests, and forests into entire worlds of life. Across the Alps, spring gradually gives way to summer. The seedlings that emerged from the soil are no longer fragile sprouts. Their roots reach deeper, their stems grow stronger. Their leaves expand toward the sunlight. The journey that began with a single seed is entering a new stage. The creation of a forest to human eyes. Forests often appear permanent, ancient, unchanging. But every forest, no matter how vast, began with individual plants establishing themselves one by one. Every towering pine, every beech tree, every maple and rowan. All began as small seedlings competing for survival. The forests of the Alps are not static landscapes. They are living systems constantly changing through time. Some areas are young, others are centuries old. Some are expanding, others are recovering from storms, avalanches, floods or landslides. Every stage is part of a natural cycle of renewal in a recently disturbed area. Sunlight reaches the ground without obstruction. The soil is exposed. Competition is limited. For young plants, these conditions create opportunity. The first species to arrive are often pioneers. Fast-growing plants adapted to unstable environments. They establish quickly. Their roots hold the soil together. Their leaves provide shade. Their presence begins transforming the habitat. These pioneer species prepare the way for others, a process known as ecological succession. Nature rarely builds complex ecosystems all at once. Instead, communities develop gradually. One stage creates the conditions for the next. The pioneers improve the soil. The improved soil supports shrubs. The shrubs create shelter for young trees. And over time, a forest begins to emerge. Across alpine valleys, this process unfolds continuously. Seeds carried by wind arrive first. Seeds transported by water follow. Birds bring additional species. Mammals contribute their own hidden deliveries. Each seed adds another piece to the growing ecosystem. No single species creates a forest alone. The forest is a collaboration, a living partnership involving countless organisms. As young trees establish themselves, competition begins. Sunlight becomes a valuable resource. Every plant seeks access to it. Some seedlings grow rapidly, others remain in shade, waiting for opportunities. The race for light shapes the structure of the future forest. A tree that reaches sunlight first gains an advantage. Its leaves produce more energy. Its roots expand more quickly. Its chances of survival increase. Yet growth is not only about speed. Many alpine tree species have evolved patience. Beech seedlings, for example, may survive for years beneath the forest canopy, living in deep shade, growing slowly, waiting. Then, when an older tree falls and sunlight reaches the ground, they respond. Suddenly, growth accelerates. A new generation rises. The forest constantly renews itself. Above the ground, the transformation is obvious. Young trees grow taller each season. Branches spread outward. Leaves capture increasing amounts of sunlight. But beneath the surface, another world is developing. Roots expand through the soil. They search for water. They search for nutrients. They encounter roots from neighboring plants, and they become connected through networks of fungi. These
the regeneration is incredible.
Link trees
It's so
and plants
vibrant
together.
and full
Water
of
can
life.
move
It makes
through
you
them.
hopeful.
Nutrients can move through them. Even chemical signals may travel between connected plants. The forest is not merely a collection of individual trees. It is a community, a network, a living system built on cooperation as well as competition. As years pass, the appearance of the landscape continues to change. Open ground becomes covered with vegetation. Shrubs grow larger. Young trees form clusters. Eventually, small groves begin to appear. What was once an exposed patch of soil becomes a developing woodland. The process may seem slow to human observers, but in ecological terms, transformation is happening constantly. Every growing season adds another layer of complexity. Every successful plant contributes to the future structure of the forest. The benefits extend far beyond the trees themselves. Young forests create habitat for insects. Their leaves support caterpillars and beetles. Their flowers attract pollinators. Their branches provide nesting sites for birds. Their roots stabilize the soil. Their presence influences temperature, moisture, and airflow. Life attracts life as vegetation increases. Biodiversity often follows. The developing forest becomes increasingly resilient. Different species perform different roles. Some fix nutrients, some create shelter, some produce fruits. Others provide food for herbivores. Together they form a balanced and interconnected ecosystem. Among the most important newcomers are rowan trees. Their bright berries will eventually attract birds. those birds will bring additional seeds. The cycle of dispersal continues. Hazel shrubs establish themselves beneath the canopy. In future years, they will provide food for squirrels. The squirrels will carry and bury seeds. New trees will emerge. The future is already taking shape. Every generation prepares the way for the next. Not every young forest survives. Storms may damage developing trees. Drought can slow growth. Disease may affect vulnerable populations. Harsh winters test resilience. Yet these challenges are also part of the process. Natural selection continues to shape the landscape. The strongest individuals survive. The most adaptable communities persist. Over time, the forest becomes increasingly stable. Years become decades, decades become generations. Young saplings become mature trees, their trunks thicken, their crowns expand, their roots penetrate deeper into the earth, and eventually, they begin producing seeds of their own. The travelers have become parents. The cycle begins again. Millions of new seeds enter the environment. Some fall nearby, others travel far away. Wind carries them across valleys. Water transports them downstream. Birds and mammals move them across the landscape. The forest is no longer only receiving seeds, it is creating them. The future forest is already preparing the next generation. Across the Alps, countless forests are at different stages of this journey. Some are just beginning, others are centuries old. Some are recovering from disturbance. Others stand as mature ecosystems supporting extraordinary biodiversity. Together they form one of Europe's most remarkable natural landscapes. Yet all share a common origin, a seed, a journey, a successful beginning. As the summer sun lowers behind the mountain peaks, long shadows stretch across the young forests. Leaves shimmer in the evening breeze. Birdsong echoes between growing trees. Beneath the canopy, seedlings continue to emerge. New arrivals continue to establish themselves. The process never truly ends. Every forest remains a work in progress. A living record of countless journeys completed, and countless journeys still to come. What began as individual travelers scattered across the Alps is becoming something larger, something more complex. A habitat, a community, a forest. And with the growth of these new forests, the stage is set for another transformation. For where forests grow, animals soon follow. And with them comes the next chapter in the story of the seed carriers of the Alps. Across the Alps, the young forests continue to grow. What was once open ground is now covered by grasses, shrubs and saplings. The soil is richer. The air is cooler beneath the developing canopy. Food is becoming more abundant. Shelter is becoming more available. And as the landscape changes, new visitors begin to arrive. The return of animals is one of the most important stages in the creation of a healthy ecosystem. Plants may build the forest, but animals help bring it to life. Every species that enters the forest carries with it new relationships, new opportunities, and new pathways through which seeds can travel. The story of the forest is no longer only the story of plants. It is becoming the story of an entire community. At dawn, movement begins along the edges of the woodland. Small birds arrive first. They perch among young branches. They search for insects. They investigate the newly forming habitat. For these birds, the growing forest provides safety. Branches offer nesting sites. Leaves provide shade. Insects provide food. What began as a collection of seedlings is becoming a home. As bird populations increase, new connections emerge. Many birds are among the most effective seed carriers in nature. Their role extends far beyond the forest they inhabit. A bird may feed in one valley and rest in another. It may carry seeds across rivers, mountains, and open meadows. Every flight becomes an opportunity for dispersal. Every migration becomes a bridge connecting distant habitats. Among the most important food sources are the fruits produced by shrubs and young trees. Rowan berries glow bright red against the green foliage, while cherries ripen beneath the summer sun. Elderberries darken as the season advances. To birds, these fruits provide energy. To plants, they provide transportation. The partnership benefits both sides. The bird receives nourishment. The plant gains mobility. A seed consumed in one location may be deposited many kilometers away, far beyond the reach of wind or water. The future forest expands through these journeys. As the seasons pass, larger animals begin to appear. Among the branches, a red squirrel moves with remarkable agility. Its presence signals another stage in the development of the ecosystem. Squirrels depend on trees. Trees depend on seed dispersal. The relationship between them has shaped forests for thousands of years. Throughout the year, squirrels collect food. Hazelnuts, beechnuts, acorns, seeds from countless plant species. Each item is carefully hidden, stored for the future, distributed across hundreds of locations. Some caches are recovered. Many are forgotten. The forgotten seeds remain beneath the soil, protected, hidden, waiting. When spring returns, some begin to germinate. A squirrel searching for food unknowingly plants the next generation of forest. Across the Alps, countless young trees owe their existence to forgotten caches. The squirrel becomes a gardener without intention, a forester without awareness. Its search for survival contributes to the survival of the forest itself. The deeper the forest grows, the more opportunities become available for mammals. Small rodents move through the undergrowth. They feed on seeds and vegetation. Some transport seeds to hidden storage sites. Others carry them accidentally through daily movements. Every journey contributes to dispersal. Every movement becomes part of a larger ecological network. The forest floor is rarely still. Beneath fallen leaves, countless interactions occur. Mice gather food. Insects search for shelter. Seeds disappear into hidden tunnels and burrows. Many are consumed, some survive. The balance between loss and survival continues to shape the future landscape. Not all seed carriers are small. As the forest matures, larger mammals begin to return. Deer move cautiously between clearings. Their presence influences the growth of vegetation. They browse young shoots. They create pathways through the forest. And they transport seeds in multiple ways. Some seeds attach to fur. Others survive passage through the digestive system. Long after the animal has moved on, the seed remains, ready to begin a new life. The movement of large mammals helps connect distant parts of the ecosystem. Valleys become linked. Forest patches become connected. Genetic diversity increases. The health of plant populations improves. Every journey matters. Every animal contributes. Even predators play a role. Foxes move through meadows and woodland edges. They consume fruits as well as small prey. Seeds travel within them. When deposited elsewhere, those seeds gain access to entirely new habitats. The predator becomes a seed carrier. Nature rarely divides life into simple categories. Roles overlap, relationships intertwine. Everything becomes connected as animal populations increase. The forest grows more dynamic. Birdsong fills the morning air. Insects hum among flowering plants. Mammals leave tracks along hidden trails. Life becomes visible in every layer of the ecosystem. Above the canopy, within the branches, across the forest floor, and beneath the soil, the return of animals creates new cycles of movement, new opportunities for dispersal, new possibilities for growth. A forest without animals is incomplete. Animals help distribute resources, control populations, create disturbances, transport nutrients, and most importantly for this story, carry seeds. The partnership between plants and animals has developed over millions of years. Many plants have evolved specifically to attract animal carriers. Bright fruits, sweet pulp, nutritious seeds. Strong scents. Every feature serves a purpose. The forest communicates through food. Animals respond, the exchange continues. One species feeds another. One journey supports another. One generation creates opportunities for the next. As summer transitions toward autumn, the forest becomes increasingly productive. Branches bend beneath the weight of fruits. Seeds mature, nuts develop, the season of abundance arrives. Animals respond quickly. Birds feed intensely before migration. Squirrels gather winter stores. Rodents collect food wherever it can be found. The forest enters one of its busiest periods. Every feeding event becomes a dispersal event. Every stored nut becomes a potential tree. Every forgotten cache becomes an opportunity. The future is constantly being planted, sometimes deliberately, more often accidentally, yet the result remains the same. The forest expands, the ecosystem grows stronger, the cycle continues. As evening settles over the Alps, the activity gradually slows. Birds return to their roosts, squirrels retreat to sheltered nests, deer move quietly through the shadows. The forest becomes calm once again. But beneath that calm, countless seeds remain hidden. Some buried by squirrels, some deposited by birds, some carried by mammals moving through the valley, each waiting for the right moment. Each carrying the possibility of new life. The return of animals has transformed the young forests of the Alps. What began as scattered seedlings has become a living ecosystem. An ecosystem built not by plants alone, but by relationships, by movement, by cooperation across species. And as the forest continues to mature, even more complex connections will emerge. The seeds have found their carriers, the forest has found its inhabitants, and together they are shaping the future of the Alps. The story continues. Years have passed since the first seeds arrived. The open ground that once lay exposed beneath the sky has changed completely. Young saplings have become trees. Clusters of shrubs have formed dense thickets. Roots have spread deep into the earth. The forest has entered a new stage of life. A stage defined not by rapid growth but by balance. This is the mature forest, one of the most complex ecosystems in the Alps. To many observers, a mature forest appears timeless. The trees seem permanent. The landscape appears stable. Yet beneath this calm exterior, countless processes continue every day. Energy flows from sunlight into leaves. Water moves through roots and trunks. Seeds continue to travel. Animals continue to forage. Life continues to adapt. A mature forest is not a finished creation. It is a living system in constant motion. Towering above the forest floor, the canopy forms a green roof across the landscape. Beech trees stretch toward the sky. Maples spread broad crowns above the understory. Spruces and firs stand among them, reaching high into the mountain air. Together, these trees create multiple layers of habitat. Every layer supports different forms of life. The upper canopy receives the most sunlight. Birds move among the branches. Insects feed on leaves. Seeds develop within flowers and fruits. Below, smaller trees and shrubs occupy the shaded understory. Beneath them, ferns, mosses, and wildflowers cover the forest floor. The forest becomes a vertical world filled with opportunities and filled with relationships. The seeds that once struggled to survive as seedlings now contribute to the future of the ecosystem. Each year, mature trees produce vast numbers of seeds. Some are released into the wind. Others develop inside fruits. Many fall directly beneath the parent tree. The forest is constantly renewing itself. Every season brings a new generation. A Among the most recognizable seed travelers are the maple trees. As summer fades and autumn approaches, their seeds mature. Each samara is equipped with a wing perfectly designed for flight. When released, the seeds spin gracefully through the air. Some land nearby, others travel beyond the boundaries of the forest. The journey continues. The same forces that built the forest now help expand it. Wind remains one of the great architects of the landscape. High above the canopy, invisible currents move between mountain ridges and valleys. Every gust carries possibility. Every breeze carries the future. Elsewhere in the forest, rowan trees produce bright clusters of berries. Their branches become gathering places for birds. Thrushes, blackbirds, waxwings, many species arrive to feed. As they consume the fruit, they become part of a partnership that has existed for millions of years. The tree provides food. The bird provides transportation. The seeds travel far beyond the reach of the parent tree, sometimes across entire valleys, sometimes across mountain ranges. The forest expands through cooperation, not through force, not through competition alone, but through relationships. On the forest floor, another group of seed carriers continues its work. Red squirrels move between trees searching for food. Hazelnuts, beechnuts, acorns. The harvest of the forest is abundant. Throughout autumn, squirrels collect and store thousands of seeds. Many will be recovered during winter, some will not. The forgotten seeds remain where they were buried, protected beneath layers of soil and weeds. Months later, they may begin to grow. The squirrel never sees the result, yet its actions shape the future forest. Generation after generation, this quiet partnership continues. Throughout the mature woodland, signs of renewal appear everywhere. Young seedlings emerge in patches of sunlight. Saplings rise where older trees have fallen. Forest gaps create opportunities. Even in old ecosystems, change remains constant. No forest remains exactly the same. Storms occasionally sweep across the Alps. Powerful winds topple aging trees. Heavy snow breaks branches. Lightning sometimes strikes towering trunks. To human eyes, these events may appear destructive. But nature often creates opportunity through disturbance. When a large tree falls, sunlight reaches the ground once again. Dormant seeds respond. Young plants accelerate their growth. A new generation begins. The forest heals itself. The cycle continues. Dead trees also remain important. A fallen trunk does not mark the end of life. Instead, it becomes a new habitat. Fungi colonize the wood. Insects tunnel beneath the bark. Mosses spread across the surface. Gradually, the tree returns its nutrients to the soil. Life emerges from decay. The mature forest wastes nothing. Every stage contributes to the whole. Above and below ground, connections continue to strengthen. The underground fungal networks that support young forests have expanded over decades. Now they connect hundreds of plants. Water moves through these hidden pathways. Nutrients travel between roots. The forest functions as an interconnected community. Individual trees may stand alone above the surface. Yet beneath the soil, they are part of something larger. The mature forest becomes increasingly resilient because of these connections. Diversity strengthens stability. Many species perform similar roles. If one population declines, others help maintain balance. The ecosystem adapts, it persists, it survives. This resilience allows mature forests to endure environmental change. Harsh winters, droughts, storms, fluctuating temperatures. Challenges come and go. The forest responds, the forest continues. As the seasons pass, animals become permanent residents rather than occasional visitors. Birds nest in tree cavities. Owls hunt beneath the canopy. Foxes move along hidden trails. Deer browse in forest clearings. Countless insects occupy every layer of the ecosystem. Each species contributes to the movement of seeds. Each helps maintain ecological balance. The forest is no longer simply a collection of trees. It is a living network of interactions. A community shaped by cooperation, competition, adaptation, and renewal. And at the center of this network remains the seed, the beginning of every journey, the foundation of every forest. Every mature tree standing in the Alps today was once a traveler, a seed carried by wind, a seed transported by water, a seed moved by birds or mammals, a seed that found the right place to grow. The forest itself is the result of countless successful journeys, millions of small beginnings woven together across time. As autumn sunlight filters through golden leaves, the mature forest appears peaceful, yet preparations for the future are already underway. seeds continue to form, fruits continue to ripen, animals continue to gather food. The next generation is already being prepared, because no forest remains unchanged forever. New seedlings are waiting, new journeys are about to begin, and beyond the boundaries of this mature woodland, new landscapes are waiting to be colonized. The cycle of dispersal continues, the cycle of renewal continues. The forest stands not as the end of the story, but as a bridge between generations, a living reminder that every future forest begins with a single seed. And somewhere beyond the canopy, the next generation of seed carriers is already preparing to continue the journey. The forests of the Alps now stand tall across the valleys. Their roots reach deep into the mountainside. Their branches stretch toward the sky. Their canopies shelter countless forms of life. From a distance, they appear permanent, yet nothing in nature stands still. Every forest is constantly preparing for the future. Every tree is already investing in the next generation. And so the story returns to where it began, the seed. As spring arrives once more, the cycle begins again. Snow retreats from the high slopes. Streams awaken beneath the melting ice. Sunlight returns to the valleys. Across the forest, buds begin to open. Fresh leaves unfold. Flowers emerge among branches that were bare only weeks before. The forest is entering another season of renewal. For every flowering plant, reproduction remains the ultimate goal. The trees that once grew from tiny seedlings have now reached maturity. They are no longer merely survivors. They are creators of future forests, creators of future habitats, creators of countless journeys yet to come. Among the branches, pollinators return, bees move between blossoms. Butterflies drift through shafts of sunlight. Hoverflies visit flowers hidden among the leaves. The exchange of pollen begins once again. Invisible to most observers, the next generation is already taking shape. Within flowers, seeds begin to develop. Tiny embryos form, protected within fruits, cones, or seed pods, each carrying the potential for an entirely new life, each carrying the possibility of transforming a landscape. As the season advances, fruits begin to ripen. Bright colors appear throughout the forest. Red, orange, purple, gold, signals intended for specific audiences, the animals of the forest. Birds notice first. A blackbird lands among clusters of rowan berries. A thrush moves through the canopy. Waxwings arrive during their seasonal travels. The forest offers food. The birds accept the invitation. Yet every meal serves two purposes. The birds gain energy. The trees gain transportation. Seeds begin new journeys hidden within the movements of living creatures. The partnership that helped build the forest continues. Generation after generation, year after year. Elsewhere, squirrels become active among the branches. The abundance of autumn has arrived. Hazelnuts mature. Beech nuts fall from towering trees. Acorns scatter across the forest floor. The squirrels respond immediately. Each nut represents survival during the coming winter. Food must be gathered. Food must be stored. Across the woodland, thousands of caches are created. Tiny hidden reserves buried beneath leaves and soil. Most will eventually be recovered. Some will not. The forgotten seeds remain, waiting for spring, waiting for opportunity, waiting to become trees. The squirrels do not know they are planting forests, yet they have been doing so for thousands of years. The future often arrives through simple actions repeated across generations. As autumn deepens, wind once again becomes an important traveler. High above the canopy, invisible currents move across the Alps. The same winds that carried seeds at the beginning of our story continue their work. Maple samaras spin through the air. Light seeds drift beyond the forest edge. Some land nearby. Others travel much farther, across valleys, across rivers, across mountain slopes. Every gust creates new possibilities. The oldest seed carrier in nature remains as active as ever. Water also continues its journey. Rain falls on mountainsides. Streams gather strength. Rivers connect distant habitats. Seeds enter the current and begin traveling once more. Some become trapped among reeds. Others settle along riverbanks. A few reach entirely new watersheds. The pathways of dispersal never close. They simply change with the seasons. Throughout the Alps, countless journeys overlap. Wind carries seeds through the air. Water carries them across the land. Birds transport them through flight. Mammals move them through forests and meadows. Even insects contribute to the spread of life. No single species controls the future of the ecosystem. Instead, the future emerges through cooperation, a vast network of connections stretching across the mountains. And within this network lives another participant, human beings. For centuries, families have lived among these valleys, not outside nature, but within it. Among them are hens, Anna and Lina. Like countless generations before them, they share the landscape with the forests. They walk the same paths used by deer. They listen to the same birds that carry seeds between valleys. They depend upon the same streams that nourish the land. Standing on a hillside overlooking the forest, they become observers of a process far older than humanity itself. A process that began long before farms, long before villages, long before roads crossed the mountains. The movement of seeds, the renewal of life, the creation of forests, the continuation of ecosystems. The lessons of the Alps are simple. Nothing survives alone. The flower depends on the pollinator. The seed depends on its carrier. The forest depends on animals. The animals depend on the forest. The rivers connect the valleys. The winds connect the mountains. Every part of the ecosystem supports another. Every journey becomes part of a larger story. As evening approaches, sunlight softens across the landscape. Golden light touches the forests. Shadows stretch across the valleys. The mountains stand quietly above it all. Yet even now the work continues. A bird carries seeds toward a distant ridge. A squirrel buries a final nut before nightfall. A breeze lifts a cluster of maple seeds into the air. A stream carries unseen travelers downstream. The future is always moving, always spreading, always beginning again. The forests we see today were built by countless journeys completed long ago. The forests of tomorrow are being built right now, in every seed carried by the wind. In every seed hidden by a squirrel, in every seed transported by water, in every seed carried inside the flight of a bird. Across the Alps, millions of travelers continue their silent migrations. Most will never be noticed, many will never survive, but a few will succeed, a few will take root, a few will grow, and those few will shape the future. They will become flowers, shrubs, trees, forests, habitats, entire ecosystems, all beginning with something small enough to rest upon a fingertip, a seed. As twilight settles across the mountains, the valleys grow quiet. Birdsong fades, the wind softens, the forest prepares for another night. But the story does not end here, because every ending in nature is also a beginning. Every generation creates the next. Every forest prepares another forest. Every seed begins another journey. And someday, carried by the wind above a meadow, floating quietly along a mountain stream, hidden beneath the soil of a young forest. The future of the Alps is already on its way. Closing narration. The story of the Alps is not only the story of mountains, it is not only the story of forests, it is not only the story of animals. It is the story of connection. A story written by wind, by water, by birds, by mammals, by insects, and by countless seeds traveling silently through the landscape. Small travelers carrying extraordinary possibilities. Travelers carrying the future. And as long as the winds continue to blow across the mountains, as long as rivers continue to flow toward the valleys, as long as forests continue to produce new generations, the journey will never truly end, because the seed carriers of the Alps are still traveling, and they always will be.